Hey guys, welcome to the Convo couch. Today we've got Mladen Jovanovic from Bindi Maps, and he's given me a t-shirt.
Fundamentally, what I think is, as soon as you get an idea, you need to believe that it's wrong, and you need to attack it with everything you have, just to make sure that this can withstand all your thoughts and all your friends' thoughts and everything bad that you can throw at it. If it can, then you have something. Let's start working on it.
So, what were some of the negatives you heard when you first started?
Started Bindi Maps.
With the whole idea, yes.
Beacons are too expensive. It's going to take you too long. You won't be able to scale. There's many. The technology's not there. You won't be accurate. How are you going to do this? There's going to be too much interference. There's just so many things. But then again, that's things that you can work through, and they're all trivial, right? So they're all up to you to decide whether you can solve them or not. You start testing, start figuring. Well, that's what we do. That's the business we're in. You're solving problems. There was no fundamental problem that would crash the whole business. So we just went from there.
Okay, so Anna and you decided to continue on after doing all your research.
Luckily, Anna did a lot of the research initially, thankfully. She did a lot of it, and when she went through She Starts, she got to the point where she had a minimum viable product, and UTS was helping us a lot. They gave us their space to be able to install Bindi Maps, Banjo Maps at the time, test it, and work on the technology there. And then that's when I came on board, luckily. She had a lot of help from the guys at Blue Chili, Tony Burrett in particular, and he's actually come on as another co-founder now, so there's three of us. He did a lot of the work around the tech, and he's pretty much the brains behind the operation, so we owe it a lot to Tony. We had a lot of help with the research. It wasn't just us. And once we got to that minimum viable product stage where we saw, this is working and this is solving a problem, we had Guide Dogs New South Wales representatives come out and test the application, and they said, it's actually solving a problem. And we had a lady that, for the first time in her life, by using Bindi Maps, she was able to make her way through an indoor space to a coffee shop and buy herself a cup of coffee without any help from another human. To be able to do that for the first time in your life, it's shocking. So that's when we were like, we're onto something, we're doing it.
Was that like your first sort of light bulb moment that you guys realized that it's actually a really good idea?
Personally, yes. For me. I'm not sure if it was for Anna and Tony, but for me, that was the time when I was like, okay, that's gold.
Okay, so when you actually did the whole testing, you had like a sort of prototype app and you got the people to come in and to try it.
Correct, yeah.
And it focuses a lot on the indoor spaces.
Yes.
So there's a reason for that. Is it because like outdoors you've got more sort of tactile markings and then indoors not really?
Well, there's a lot of solutions for outdoors. They may not be the best solutions, and they may not be complete solutions, but there's a lot. There's apps like Blind Square, Soundscape. There's so many other people playing in that market. I'm not going to say no one, but not many sophisticated solutions were available for the indoor space. So that's why we started tackling that space. Now, we have had a lot of people request, outdoor features, which we're now doing as well. So now we're moving into being able to guide people from their doorstep all the way to the shopping centre and finding their shop. We started testing that in Central here in Sydney. So now on the app that we're working on is you're able to get from Central Station all the way to Bindi Maps head office. And we've done that by breaking down the navigation process and applying the same principles as we did in the indoor space. We are predominantly an indoor navigation tool, but we are starting to add all those extra bells and whistles, how we're able to be outdoors and indoors and do that seamlessly and all those transitions and stuff. So.
Can you describe how, I guess, a blind person or one of your users would use it if like it's an app on your smartphone and they actually have to sort of navigate to that app first?
I forgot what the exact statistic was. I think it was about 85 or 90% of people who are blind or vision impaired. The reason why is because of their accessibility features. So when the 3GS came out, that was way ahead of any other phone with the accessibility features. Once you put the phone into voiceover mode, as you swipe your finger across the screen, there is a box that goes across all the text. And where that box goes, it will read out everything that's on the phone. So if you put your phone into voiceover, as you're sliding, it would read out everything you and I can visually see. And then once you get to Bindi Maps, for example, the app on the screen, you double tap and it will open the app. Now, we've completely optimized our app for voiceover mode. So no matter where you swipe, it will read out everything that's in the app. So once in the application, let's say you walk into a shopping center that's been Bindi mapped and you've opened Bindi Maps. It would, as soon as you open the application, it gives you a spoken overview of the place to create something like a mind map. So this place is a long rectangular corridor with shops on either side, for example. That's a brief description. And then you're able to select destinations within the shopping center. JB Hi-Fi, for example. Once you select JB Hi-Fi, exact same principle as Google Maps. We'll start a navigation process from point A to point B, except we will provide all that contextual information about the space that if you were blind or vision impaired, you wouldn't be able to see. So as you're walking past Boost Juice, for example, we can say, Boost Juice is at 3:00. And we've also broken the navigation process down into steps. And we call these steps waypoints. So let's say you've selected JB Hi-Fi. The app will say JB Hi-Fi is 220 meters at 2:00. To get to JB Hi-Fi, you need to pass 5 waypoints. The first waypoint is the corridor next to Boost Juice, which is 20 meters at 12:00. Once you reach that waypoint, it will say you have arrived at this waypoint. The next waypoint is X. So it breaks down that navigation process to make things a lot simpler and in bite-sized chunks. Once you arrive to the store, it gives you a description, so you can tap about this location. It will explain, JB Hi-Fi deals with electronics and has all these sorts of other stuff. So it gives you a brief description on what that place is.
Okay. How much research did you do into the whole navigation process for a blind person?
So we had a lot of help from different associations such as Guide Dogs New South Wales, Vision Australia, all those other associations. So they gave us a lot of input initially. Part of our core IP in the business is the language that we use to be able to guide people. Because you can imagine if you close your eyes and I told you walk 100 meters that way and then turn left, where are you going to end up? Exactly. So it's also that language that we've created throughout this journey and throughout all the research that we're able to apply within the application that is understandable and that is transferable across locations, and people can comprehend it in a way where they're able to use it and effectively navigate. The whole research, it's not just just breaking it down into waypoints is just a small part. It's also, using that language and being able to figure out all these sorts of things. And again, that we could not have done anything without the team behind it. Like it wasn't one person. There's no way it could be one person. There was so many people involved in this, which is, we're very thankful for.
And it's obviously grown quite successfully over the short amount of time it's been around for. Mm-hmm. So it's been around for about 2, 3, 5 years?
End of 2016, January 2017, the company was established.
Okay.
And that's when we installed into UTS and started testing. Now, it took about 2 years of research and development. So there was nothing live on the App Store. It was just closed beta testing with, our user groups. And we only released in the App Store as of February this year. Since February this year, we are now live in 6 states. We're in New South Wales, ACT, Tasmania, Victoria, South Australia and Queensland. So yeah, we have grown very quickly in 7 months, 6 states. So
yeah, and you've obviously partnered with some of the biggest organizations that assist your users. So Guide Dogs Australia and some other organizations as well. So that's quite a big milestone for you.
It's huge. It's huge. Look, we're thankful that they were around since the early days. They've always been, assisting us and helping us throughout the process, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to solve the same problem. They're trying to give their users the best experience and the best chance at, living and seamlessly integrating into society without any problems. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're all trying to restore that sense of independence and allowing them to live life freely and just like everyone else. So no one's actually come and said, no, we're not going to help you, which has been awesome. Everyone's been helpful and everyone's contributed. So, everyone deserves a pat on the back. What we use is little Bluetooth beacons, and they're just little radio transmitters. So what they do is they act like tiny indoor GPS satellites. So if you can imagine, we place these around the ceilings, and as you're walking, they emit a pulse to your phone, and then that works in conjunction with our algorithms, and we're able to localize you within the space.
So the space has to be Bindi Maps first.
Correct.
And then the app would sort of work within that space once the beacons are all set up.
Yes, correct.
For Bindi Maps to work, if the way you're sort of rolling out the app is to actually get in touch with the indoor spaces first and then get them to Bindi Map themselves.
Correct.
Right.
So they need to be on board. So for example, shopping centers will need to provide us their floor plans. So they're as-built floor plans, which will pretty much be a 2-scale drawing of the whole center. Now, based on that, we're able to calculate, which areas we're going to be Bindi mapping, because at the end of the day, we only need to Bindi map the communal areas. Because once you get to the shop front, if it's a small shop, once you get to the shop front, customer service can take over and show you what's inside the store. We would only get you to the store. So we would identify all the areas that we're going to be Bindi mapping, all the communal areas. And then once that's done, we would go in and we'd place our beacons, and then we would use that map as the map view within the app as well.
Have you tried that with any actual shopping centers or anything like that so far?
Yes. We have worked with the Stockland Corporation. So we Bindi mapped the Wetherill Park Shopping Centre, which was 28,000 square metres that we covered. We've worked with ISPT. Now, they've been awesome so far, and we're currently in conversations to do their entire retail portfolio nationwide. So far, we've Bindi mapped one of their shopping centres in Victoria, with another one coming up in the next couple of weeks. A few other centres that are coming on board soon But it's always that conversation and that education piece on why should we install it and why should we equip our center with this software? What benefit do we get? So it's always that initial conversation of educating the customers and telling them, this is useful for X. We're hoping to have pretty much every shopping center operator on board by the end of next year.
Okay, so that's the goal for the end of next year.
So that includes Vicinity, Westfields, and all those big ones.
Right.
And we come in, so much cheaper than any other solution that we've found. Everything else is really expensive, especially if you're looking at, other solutions that supplement ours. So tactile markings, thousands and thousands of dollars if you want to get, the whole area tactile.
So in that conversations with the shopping centers and the groups, what kind of roadblocks do you usually come across with them?
I think the main one would be around the installation process. Because once we tell someone, we're going to come in and we're going to install Bindi maps and we're going to be putting up these beacons on your ceilings, straight away they're like, oh, okay, then we're going to need to run wires. We're going to need to have tradesmen in here. We're going to need to cut holes in the ceiling. It's always that little piece of educating them that, look, it's not that difficult. The beacons are 35 grams and they're about that big. So it's about 2.5 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters and about 0.5 centimeter deep. What the installation process is double-sided 3M sticky tape. The same thing for the wall hooks.
Yeah.
That's what we use.
Okay.
So we just go around and we stick those on the ceiling. They're battery powered. They last just under 5 years. It's simple. That's it. We just walk around and we stick those up. That's it. But it's always that hurdle. And then once they hear about that, they're like, okay, we need to get IT involved. We need to get facilities involved. We need to get all these other people involved. At the end of the day, we understand where they're coming from, and that's completely fine. That's what we're here to do. We're here to educate and show people how simple it is. Once we do, and once they see the first installation, and once everything's going fine, everyone's like, awesome, dandy, everything worked perfectly. Like for Stocklands, 28,000 square meters took us a day. Okay. That was simple. We just did a shopping center in Victoria, which was Berkeley Square Shopping Center, which is in ISPT's portfolio. That took us 40 minutes. So, so as you can imagine, the whole shopping center was 40 minutes. It's very easy. Okay, so once you get them on board, it's actually quite a straightforward, simple process. You just stick up the beacons and people can start using the app in there. Exactly. All right. Once the beacons are up, we just do our software side of things, which shouldn't take longer than a day. Everyone's good to go. Download the app and start navigating. So once you hit that milestone next year, that goal that you set for yourself in terms of getting all the shopping centers on board, how do you foresee Bindi Maps would grow from there? So shopping centers aren't our only market. So I think that there's two answers to that question. So one would be, what other markets and industries are you going to be targeting? And two would be, so how's Bindi Maps as a company going to evolve? One, what industries are you going to be targeting? We can install Bindi Maps in any large complex indoor space. So if you think educational facilities, university campuses, if you think healthcare facilities or your hospitals, airports, commercial office buildings, especially now they're becoming, huge, complex, so many meeting rooms, all these fancy taps and hand dryers and things like that in the bathrooms, they're all different. So there's not, a standard flush button when you walk into the restroom. Where's the flush button? If you're sight impaired, how are you going to find it? So we convey that information. So any large complex indoor space. So our markets, I'm not going to say they're endless, but they're very broad. And especially, our hope is that legislation is going to catch up and change in the near future and, mandate that every publicly accessible building that's of a certain size must install some sort of indoor navigation system, or whether they call it an indoor safety system, just because if you can imagine if someone's sight impaired and there's a fire, how they're going to find the fire exits. It's just all those little problems that come into play. On the other hand, how's Bindi Maps going to evolve as a company? Well, one thing we're definitely doing is we're going into outdoor GPS as well. We're using GPS technology in conjunction with ours just to get that whole experience going. We're always going to focus on solving the problem for people who are blind or vision impaired. We've had many people request all these fancy features and visual stuff and all that sort of stuff. That's not our priority. We're always going to be focusing on people who are blind or vision impaired. In terms of the company evolving, it would be more, outdoor GPS and seeing how we can Bindi map locations without going through that process of getting the maps and going in there and putting up beacons. So we're always exploring new technologies, and our hope for the future is that the entire world will be Bindi mapped. So you won't use it exactly like Google Maps. You get off at the train station, open it up and go. So that's it. It's the fairness. Like I'm very big on, so my biggest things are respect and fairness. If you were sight impaired and you couldn't go to your shopping center, you couldn't go to the food court, you couldn't walk down the road and pretty much go to your favorite cafe, restaurant, hairdresser, anything, that's not fair.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode in a series where we interview business leaders, tech innovators, and startup founders about their business journey, insights, and reflections. If you find value in this, please leave us a comment below, and also like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Enjoy!